A young South Korean girl appears on a house renovation TV show for the economically difficult families. She was praised on national TV for being strong-minded. Quote, "I want to give to others in need as much as I received later when I grow up." She had a difficult upbringing due to both parents being physically disabled. So how did she go on to become an accused killer? G'day there everyone, welcome to Bedtime Crime, a channel dedicated to all things crime related. So, if you would like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. Let's get into today's story. Today we go back to South Korea to follow a man by the name of Yoon Sang-yeop. Yoon Sang-yeop at the time was a man in his 30s who worked at a major research and development center. One day, he meets E and Yoon, a young girl. Don't be fooled by some of the photos you'll see online. This is what she looks like without makeup and filters. Knowing her real face is important to the story, as you will hear later on. Though there was an 11-year gap between the two, it didn't stop them from getting married in 2016. They purchased a house in Incheon City and started their new life together. As mentioned in the intro, E was a girl who grew up in hard times. Both her mother and father were physically disabled, and it was hard for them to make a living. Though still a problem now, there was a lot less assistance given to the people with disabilities in South Korea. It's hard for able-bodied people to make an average living in South Korea, so you can only imagine the difficulties the disabled had suffered. However, through the difficult times, the young 6th grade elementary student who was portrayed as a filial daughter caught the eye of many viewers. There is not too much known about Yoon. The reason why South Korean stories are so hard to report is usually background information is kept private due to family requests. However, it could be presumed that Yoon knew about E's childhood. This may have given Yoon some responsibility to financially look after E. And E, though once innocent and kind, knew this and took advantage of her situation. Yoon was on a good salary for the average Korean man, making around 60 million won, roughly $49,000 annually. That's almost double the average annual salary for most workers in South Korea. Not unusual in South Korea, married women are usually put into the housewife role, therefore have the responsibility of sorting out the finances, something that E wanted to take care of in her marriage. But something not so common was that Yoon and E lived separately. Now, I know a few couples who have to live separately from their husband or wife. We call them 주말부부s here in Korea, translated to weekend married couple. Usually, because the worker has to work in a remote place, the wife is left to stay at home. However, none of the couples I know have their boyfriend living with them. E, at the time of her marriage with Yoon, was said to be having an affair with a man named Cho Hyun-soo. Now, it isn't made to the public if this was an agreed upon situation, and you'll learn a little later on why I mentioned this. All the money that Yoon was making was going straight into a bank account E was handling, and it was the responsibility of E to pay all the bills, and also allocate money for Yoon to use on necessities such as food. However, E wasn't managing the finances properly. Messages that were made public showed just how Yoon was struggling to even get by, despite making a high annual salary. Yoon sent a screenshot to E of his empty bank account, telling her that he couldn't even afford to eat, and asked E to deposit 10,000 won into his bank account. 10,000 won is about $8. This is all so that he would get something for lunch, plus some water. The electricity bill for his apartment was also 3 months overdue and was soon to be cut. The cost of the electricity bill was only 38,000 won, roughly $30. All these expenses, a large majority of us could afford, and technically, so could Yoon. But E was always late to give or refused to give money back to Yoon. E had more money than she has ever had in her life, though it wasn't her money. However, even with full control of her husband's account, it wasn't enough. Since Yoon and E were married, E was able to receive approximately 800 million won. This is about $650,000 in life insurance were Yoon to die. Blinded by the possibility of benefiting from over $500,000, E decided that this is the path that she was going to choose. Her first attempt came one night at a holiday house in Yangyang, Gangwon-do. E mixed pufferfish blood in with Yoon's food, trying to poison him. However, this attempt failed due to the low toxicity level. Now during this time, E was conspiring with Cho Hyun-soo, the man she was having an affair with. He also was blinded by the amount of money that E could benefit from. On June 30th, 2019, Yoon, E, Cho, and 4 other friends went to a popular spot for Koreans to holiday at. GapYeong is a small area full of mountains and creeks. Many people go to GapYeong to swim and also do some water sports. On that one hot day on June 30th, 2019, the group all went down to the creek to take a dip. However, it was known that Yoon couldn't swim, so Yoon would only go into the shallow end with the life vest and tube. While Yoon was relaxing in the shallow end, Cho, the man E was having an affair with, was playfully hanging around Yoon. Cho started to drag Yoon's tube into the deeper end, but Yoon became annoyed and eventually left the water. It's not reported, but you could probably imagine both Cho and E looking at each other for once again failing to carry out their plan. However, E and Cho were both persistent. Later in the evening, E and Cho convinced Yoon to go for one last dip in the creek. The creek that they were playing in had a place where you could jump off the rocks into the creek. So E and Cho suggested Yoon jump in there with them. Yoon at first refused due to the fact that he wasn't a good swimmer. However, he changed his mind once E put a life vest over him and reassured him it will be fine. E and Cho jumped into the creek first. Yoon then followed. Reports say that a shout could be heard by Yoon from one of the friends present. However, no one at the time went to check up on him. This is where it was assumed that Cho and E either assisted in the drowning or just failed to help in any way. Eventually, friends found out and called emergency services. However, it was too late and Yoon died at the scene. Police were called to the scene and statements were given. E said in her report that Yoon didn't struggle. She said that she didn't hear him call for help, which is unlike what the statement was given by one of the friends. E said that they tried to help Yoon, but they couldn't do anything to revive him. Their death was presumed by police that this was an accidental drowning. On November 11th, 2019, 5 months after the death of Yoon, E filed a claim with the insurance company that Yoon had his life insurance with. E was hoping that enough time had passed where the company wouldn't go into much detail and just hand over the money. However, her naivety showed, as it's not as easy as it sounds. The insurance company told E that they need to investigate more into Yoon's death. Initially, the company suspected suicide, so they needed more information. To do so, they need to know the whole situation, meaning talking to Yoon's friends and family. I'm sure some of Yoon's friends and family might have suspected that Yoon was not doing so well. They might not have suspected a financially abusive relationship, but for a man to go through life struggling through a situation like Yoon's, I'm sure it would have been hard to hide. not being able to claim the insurance money frustrated Lee. So much so that she contacted the TV show Uncovering the Truth. This show is a popular investigative TV show here in South Korea. She contacted producers saying how she felt the insurance company she was trying to claim her dead husband's insurance from was taking advantage of her, citing that due to lack of her legal knowledge, she felt that she was unable to claim the money. The show was never put forward though, because by this time, E was now a suspect in her husband's death. In November 2021, E and Cho were both confirmed for 3 crimes, however, did not receive detention for all 3. They were under investigation for charges of murder, attempted murder, and attempted violation of the Special Act on the Prevention of Insurance Fraud. Their first investigation was on December 13, 2021. They were due for their second investigation the very next day. However, after the initial investigation, E and Cho went missing. They are still currently on the run as of the release of this video. There is hope to catch both E and Cho because as of the 30th of March 2022, they were both put on the public wanted list. This is why I think it would be useful to see her face without makeup. I'm sure it won't be too long until they are caught. However, with Korea still under the law of wearing masks due to COVID-19, it might be just a little bit harder to find them. It was originally thought that Yoon and E met while E was on an internship at Yoon's company. This turned out to be false because none of Yoon's co-workers knew E. It just came out very recently that Yoon and E met through the illegal sex industry here in Korea. E and Cho are alleged to be a part of one of the underground sex industries, and Yoon was always a target for financial gain. Thank you for watching Bedtime Crime. If you enjoyed that video, please like and subscribe. Every subscriber helps this channel grow. See you on the next story.